Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. We were here on the Queen Mary a couple months ago, but we didn't get anywhere near finished, so we're back today, and joining me today is Bruce Vansel, who is the Executive Director of the RMS Queen Mary Foundation.
Thank you very much. Yes, hi.
Thank you for letting us come back, because I've had so many people say, you didn't show this, you didn't show that, so I'm back, and show us.
Well, welcome aboard. We're delighted to show you. Right now, we're at the top of the stairs that takes us down to our engine room, and we're in the middle of an exhibit that we call Rivals and Running Mates. The purpose of this exhibit is to show people the environment, business and social environment that the Queen Mary was developed in. She didn't just come out of somebody's imagination from nowhere. She was an answer to specific business needs, competitive needs, and social needs that were going on at the time. So we wanted to show people what that environment was. What were the other ships like? What were the running mates like? What was the competition on the transatlantic crossing like? So we've created a whole exhibit starting off with a lovely model of the Britannia, which was the very first Cunard steamship in 1840. Everything ocean liner grew out of that funny looking little thing with basically a sailing ship with paddles. And even right up to the modern cruise ships, they all owe their heritage to that isolated little vessel bobbing around out there in the Atlantic.
So the display case is primarily showing the evolution of the steamship?
If you will, yeah. The display case talks more about things at the time that the Queen Mary was in service. So we've got some ships from the 60s, and from the 50s and the 40s and 30s. Of course, the 40s you had the war going on, so not a lot was being developed then, but things were in service. Some of these ships, actually most of them are gone right now. The QE2 is still around and sailing. Everything else that you see in that case is either gone or on its way out, including the SS France.
I see a big model over here. Could we check that out?
Absolutely.
Let's go over there.
This was the primary rival of the Queen Mary. This is the French liner Normandy, and she entered service a year before the Queen Mary. They rivaled each other, always trying to be the biggest and the fastest, so they kept building onto each ship, and they kept pushing those engines a little bit harder to see who was finally going to be the fastest, and the Queen Mary finally won out. The Normandy was incredibly advanced technologically. She was, for many people, one of the most beautiful ships ever built, but for some people, intimidating.
Was it a Cunard line ship?
No, she was the French line, CGT.
Looks like a Cunard orange on the smokestack.
It does, but you don't have the black bands crossing the funnels.
Who made the model?
This model and several of the others that we have in the museum were built by a priest, Father Roberto Peroni, from Los Angeles. And he spent 16 years building this model. It was all done by hand, and it came to the museum here at the end of last year.
This was all handmade by one man?
Every bit of it handmade by one man. He said this is what he did on his vacations. He hadn't taken a cruise or gone camping or anything for 16 years. He built this, and he's been doing it since he was a 13-year-old boy when he built the Titanic model out front.
He must have had divine inspiration.
Absolutely, and the patience of one of those monks who used to scribe Bibles for a living.
Did he do this one here also?
He did the Lusitania as well, yes. What's beautiful about these models is the side that we're looking at, of course. You get to see the exterior view, the beautiful lines, the gorgeous portholes, all the detail that he did to show what the ship looked like on the outside. When we go around the other side, it's a cutaway model that shows you the interiors.
This is really phenomenal workmanship, isn't it?
This is art, plain, pure, and simple. This is art. This is the height of one man's creativity. And basically, you can see we have some spaces here that kind of have nothing in them and some spaces that are very detailed. If he had a picture of that space and he knew what it looked like right down to the paintings on the wall, he would do it. If he didn't know, he left it blank.
Huh.
But this was the Lusitania from 1907. Here's the Cunard. You can see the black bands on the funnels.
Wow, this is just really, really detailed.
The detail is astonishing, right down to the pattern on the sofas and the chairs. And the art, like I said, the paintings on the wall are recreated in incredible miniature, obviously.
It's so deceiving when you see the other side, and then when you come over here and you see the interior of the ship, and even the theaters and everything.
The theaters, the pools, the lounges. We had some people from Christie's here last month looking at stuff, and Christie's frequently gets artifacts from the Normandy at auction because a lot of her interiors were being removed as she was being converted to a troop ship, and then she caught fire, burnt, and sank in New York Harbor. So a lot of the art and interiors have been preserved, but the ship is gone. And they were coming through, looking at the chairs, looking at the things in the model, going, oh yeah, we sold 2 of those at auction last year. Oh yeah, I remember that painting. We had that in there.
Well, this is phenomenal, but we've only got a half hour, so we have to move on. Where are we going next?
Let's keep on going.
Now, Bruce, one of the things that really impresses me is when you look down the hallway here where the staterooms are, the length of it. It's just unbelievable how long it is.
Well, this is one of the longest hallways on the ship. We're looking fore to aft here, and there's some people in the way, but this is a very popular place for people to come and get a look at this lovely space. Not only the length, but the unusual curve.
You know, it looks like there's a dip in the middle.
There is, and she's not sagging or anything. Back in the day when they built ships to go through any kind of weather and never come out with any harm, they built them on a curve, bow to stern, kind of banana shaped. This is called the shear to the deck, and it just gives the ship strength. As you stack the decks with a curve, it is just so much more stronger to go through those big waves.
Let's walk on down here while you're talking.
Sure. It'll be a long walk if we go all the way. But you have, basically on either side of the ship, port and starboard, you have a hallway that goes end to end, basically. And then intermittently you have so the passengers can get around the ship easily. People tend to get confused on a ship, this one or any other one for some reason, but it's actually easier than a hotel. You have 2 hallways on each floor. One port, one starboard, and several chances to go up and down stairs.
But look, it just looks like it goes on forever.
It feels like it because the curve is so extreme. You're really from one extreme end. You can't see the other end without getting down on the floor and looking, and then you can really see it. People often come into the hotel going, ooh, I wish I had a skateboard. Don't do it, but it's an amusing thought.
This impresses me. Would it be possible to maybe check out a stateroom or so?
It's possible. Let's see what we can do.
All right. We're going to see a suite?
Yes, this would be a first-class suite that would be only for the richest, most powerful people in the world. It literally is a suite of rooms. You would bring your own maid along, and you wouldn't mix with the riff-raff crew that they had on board. Of course, you wanted only your trusted maid or valet to take care of you. And they had a private apartment for them. And then you have a series of rooms, and a couple of bathrooms. This would be the sitting room. And you could entertain in here. You could have it set as a dining room, have our dining room table brought in. That's fine, too. In this particular suite, you see that the wall opens up there. It rolls away and adjoins to the next suite. So if you had a couple of rich groups together, you could have a massive little party in here and never have to mix with the other passengers at all.
Is that another bathroom?
And that's another bathroom.
Wow.
They're everywhere. That one's for the guests. And then, of course, you go into the bedroom.
Oh, this is quite spacious, isn't it?
It's a tremendous amount of space. They don't do this even on cruise ships today. Very, very spacious, very comfortable. And, of course, the most modern materials and the most luxurious and artistic materials they had at the time.
Now, is this a door that leads back out to the passageway?
It actually leads to another bathroom.
Oh, God.
And there's doorways and little rooms and little closets and all kinds of little things tucked away and hidden. One of the things very important to note about these spaces, when we look at the beautiful Art Deco decor, this takes a lot of upkeep and maintenance. And the suites were actually, a couple of years ago, refurbished with money that was donated to the foundation. We do have the foundation here that is intended to preserve the historic fabric of the ship, the beautiful art, the beautiful decor. So we're supported by membership. If someone wants to join, you get a little membership card, and then you get free parking when you come down here. Or you can just flat out give a donation and be recognized as part of the group that's helping keep her afloat and keep her alive.
And I'm sure you'll accept it with a smile?
Oh, absolutely. All donations cheerfully received.
I can't believe, at least 3 bathrooms in this suite?
Yes, and do you like the fireplace?
Oh, is that a fireplace?
That's our fireplace. It was a little electric heater. The first-class cabins usually had those. All the suites, of course, had them. And that was a source of warmth for the passengers on board, as well as the ventilation system, the Punka-louvers, which were an ingenious little mixer, not different too much from modern automobiles, where you could turn it straight up to shut the thing. You could turn it for cool air, and that vented air from down on the deck. Over here, you could get warm air that was vented up from the boiler rooms, or you could mix it to set the temperature to suit.
This would be a comfortable way to travel.
It really was the ultimate, absolutely.
And the baths are quite nice.
And the baths are large and luxurious. In first class, they had private baths. In second class, you had a water closet, and you had to schedule to use the shower down the hall. In third class, you had a sink. You had to use public facilities throughout. And that was very common in the day.
Well, let's go check out one of the first class cabins. I know it's not going to be this luxurious.
No, but the room we're going to see would be for your ordinary movie stars. This would be for the studio moguls.
Oh, okay. Now, this is going to be a first-class cabin?
Yes, this would be a first-class stateroom, and this would be what your normal wealthy individual would sail in.
And it's much smaller, not as luxurious, but still very comfortable.
Oh, in its day, this was the pinnacle of luxury. All the comforts of home, again, you've got the same ventilation system with the Punka louvers, same quality materials on the wall, maybe not as much art, certainly not as large, but you've got your two portholes for an outside cabin. You've got room to sit. This is much larger than a cabin on an average cruise ship these days.
How original is this room?
It's pretty close to original. You would have a slightly different headboard than that. You've got the wooden built-in fixtures here with the Punka louvers. The cabinetry is all very much original. You've got this beautiful closet over here. I just love the wood grain on the doors on that. Even right down to this old electric fan, which the ship didn't have air conditioning except in the dining room. And you have this beautiful old electric fan that you could use. Of course, it doesn't operate now. We're on alternating current now, as opposed to the direct current that they had back in the day.
Now, is this just another closet?
Actually, this would be access to the next stateroom next door if you were to buy adjoining cabins,
So
like
you could
adjoining
have
hotel rooms.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back. You could have your family or friends or something next door if you wanted to.
All right. I could do a voyage in a room like this very comfortably.
Oh, I should hope. Yeah, life in first class was pretty nice.
Okay, where are we going next?
Next, let's go take a look at the art gallery.
All right, let's go. Now, we're in the third class area.
This was the third class area in a space that once upon a time was part of the third class dining room. Today, it's our art gallery. And here we have art treasures that have been collected from all over the ship. Each one of them an original piece of art commissioned for the ship for a special purpose, for a special place. And today it's just on display, and you can kind of get the idea for what the height of the Art Deco era was.
Now, these were positioned somewhere on the ship at one time?
Everything in here was somewhere else originally. And you've just got some beautiful pieces. Obviously, they had a chapel on board.
This is a beautiful bronze screen.
Yes. These were in the first class dining room. For one of the private dining rooms that was there.
Oh. These certainly are treasures, aren't they?
Absolutely. Again, every piece is an original work of art. Cunard Line hired the preeminent artists in England who knew the Art Deco style, who could produce pieces that would really be a nice testament to what the English Empire was all about. And the ship was just filled with it. Everything here is original.
Now tell me, are the flowers original?
I doubt it. If they are, they're well preserved. But
Curious.
But this was the rose bowl that sat on the captain's table in the dining room.
Aha, must have been a big table.
It was a very large table, and sterling silver. This was just the centerpiece.
Wow.
But sumptuous. Everything, the best of the best that they could do. England wanted to show the world that in the depths of the Depressions, they were still a force to be reckoned with. And the Queen Mary was that expression.
That's a great Art Deco clock.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
This was in the first class main lounge on the big fireplace, and it is just a stunning piece of art.
You know, even the furniture, the wood is absolutely spectacular.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the wood, because that was one of the main themes on the ship. She was the ship of beautiful woods, deliberately. There were 56 different varieties of wood used in this ship. In fact, some of those varieties of wood are actually extinct now. They no longer exist in the world. Those trees don't grow. It was an expression at the time, again, the power and the might of the British Empire, each wood represented one of the holdings. Remember, the sun never sets on the British Empire, and each of these woods came from some part of the holding. It was a very powerful, although artistic, political statement.
I think I saw a friend of ours come in. Lavetta, get over here.
Okay.
I think you got a promotion since last time, didn't you? Vice President of Marketing and Communications?
Yes,
Well, good.
now I can tell all about it.
Now we're back to, because we had so many people ask, why didn't you show this? Why didn't you show that? So here we are again.
Well, and you know, it's true. There's just so much to see and do here. It's absolutely true.
And I don't know where we're going next.
Well, I think we're probably going to share with you our Treasures of the Queen Mary Archive exhibit, which I don't know that you saw last time. It's some of the wonderful things from our archive that those involved in history will love to see. And also Sir Winston's.
Oh, yes, I want to see
And
that.
of course, we want to show you the award we got as Ship of the Year.
Good. Which way are we going?
We're going to go this way.
Let's go. Okay, now where are we going and what are we going to see?
This is a very special area called Treasures of the Queen Mary Archive, and we're in the midst of upgrading this area to include more on our launch and also the maiden voyage period. But this is all material that was socked away in the archive that no one could see. So a few years ago, our volunteers went through the archive and our archivists pulled out all kinds of material and put together this great exhibit of things that had been hidden away. This first room is materials that the crew would have used, tools and things like that.
Is this a smokestack?
This is the crow's nest.
Oh.
And you can actually look up into the crow's nest.
Oh, I think we showed that last time.
Could be.
We're on the, I don't know where we are, but yet we
We're
showed.
at the bow, that's right. This originally was the mail sorting area for this ship, which of course was RMS Queen Mary, Royal Mail Ship. She delivered the mail,
Ah.
which was her main job to begin with.
I remember that because I said, how did they get up there? He said, there's stairs going up.
All the way to the top, that's correct. So have we seen this already? This one? Are we repeating? Okay. And then, of course, there are these rooms which show the various class staterooms on the ship when she sailed, when she first sailed.
What would this have been?
This is a typical look at the deck. You see the forward deck in the photograph, and then this is original furniture that would have been in that area. Some of the quoits and the games they would have played, the early magazines.
And this would have been,
This is the second class, or third class stateroom.
so there'd been two
And as you can
passengers to a room.
Well, there could have been more. There could have been 4 passengers or more to a room as well, with bunks and things. We couldn't show it all in this exhibit because it's the hull here. But it's got most of the original material.
Wow, this just keeps going back, doesn't it?
Yes, it's quite a large exhibit.
Is this open to the public?
Oh, yes, this is part of any tour. And hotel guests and those who are aboard may come here and tour this from 10 to 6.
This is,
Oh, this is a first-class stateroom.
wow, that's neat, isn't it?
And you know something? This is the original, these are original bedspreads from 1936.
Wow.
The curtain you see in the background there used to divide the King George and the Queen Mary suites when they had their big doors pulled open. So that's the original double-sided and embroidered tapestry wall hanging.
Is that your ball gown?
No, it's not, but that's my great-aunt's cape over there.
Oh, okay.
We all pitch in for these things. And this would have been the sitting room.
This is a great exhibit.
Well, and you know, one of the most fun places on the ship when she sailed was the Veranda Grill, which was the a la carte restaurant. And this area, this is the original piano from the Veranda Grill. This is an original table and chairs and table setting with some famous folks from the past there. We have
I see Tony Curtis.
and Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis's mother
Oh.
with the original linens and dishes and so forth. And then behind here are original dishes and also material from the kitchen. Some of the kitchen supplies over here are fun. And a look at what the kitchen might have been like.
Who polished all the silver?
Our volunteers do that, bless their hearts. We appreciate that very much. And of course, this is some of the silver and china, or silver and glassware that would have been aboard the ship.
Now, I think you wanted to stop in the steamship.
The steamship headquarters, Steamship Historical Society of America headquarters. I'm going to ask Bruce to lead you in there.
All right,
since he's the president, I'm only the vice president.
Let's go so that we can have time for the Sir Winston.
Excellent. Let's go.
All right, I'm ready.
This is a really interesting space. It's the weekend headquarters of the Steamship Historical Society of America's West Coast chapter. They're the ones who co-hosted the wonderful 70th birthday party that you attended with us. And this is wonderful for the public because they can come here on the weekends, and the Steamship Historical Society will tell them all about all the other great ships, as well as the Queen Mary. This is Bruce Vansel, who's their president. And of course, you already know he's our new executive director as well.
I know.
So let me just change hats here, and welcome to the Steamship Historical Society of America's West Coast headquarters.
Well, I'm pleased to be here. You had an excellent banquet the other night celebrating the 70th anniversary, and I have my pin on.
You sure do.
Still
I
wearing
noticed
your
that.
pin?
Good for you. It was a good collaboration, I think.
It was a really great
So
program.
you have membership or members here who do tours on some weekends?
Well, they're here to help the guests with directions, answer questions about ships. It is inevitable that someone will come in and they sailed this ship or that ship, or their parents came over with us, and they want to talk about it and they want to look at it. Perhaps we have one of those ships in our model ship display here.
And these are all
They're all property of the Steamship Society that have been donated to them for the purposes of display. So we're the beneficiary of
they
that.
were all steamships at one time.
Different ships, yes, There's also a wonderful research library here in the Steamship headquarters, and by appointment, folks can come in and ask questions and see those texts.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go on up to the Sir Winston.
Yeah, I'm hungry. How about you?
I just want to see it.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, this is the plaque you had mentioned?
Yes, and the Steamship Society, we were so honored to be named Ship of the Year for 2006. Of course, it's our 70th anniversary, but I think it was an award from a lot of folks who really love the Queen Mary and realize that she's the last of her kind.
It's always nice to be honored, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Good job. And congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. We were very, very proud to be able to give the Queen Mary the Ship of the Year for the 70th anniversary because it puts her instead with some other very fine preserved historic vessels, the Badger and the Yankee back on the East Coast. This is reserved only for vessels that represent a piece of history that stand out as examples of preservation of maritime history, and it was just a natural thing to do this year.
Well, good. Let's go to the Sir Winston.
Off to lunch. Let's go.
Okay, now this is the Sir Winston.
This is the Sir Winston's restaurant. This is our fine dining establishment.
And this is?
John Pashevich, manager maitre d'.
Well, thank you for letting us come and check out your
Sure,
fine
sure.
establishment.
My
Can we
pleasure.
go on in?
Please come on in.
Well, come on in, John.
Okay.
Well, as you can see, this is part of the dining room. There's also a wonderful bar at the other end where they serve various martinis and other wonderful libations. They have entertainment there on the weekends as well.
Thursday,
Wonderful
Friday,
singers.
and Saturday, sure.
How many does this seat?
One seating, I could put 250 in here. The restaurant is a lot larger than you see. It's like a big U shape. Comes up top
Want to walk
here.
in?
Sure.
Sure.
Now, you're open 7 days a week?
7 days a week, 5:30 to 10.
And
By-
you know, this used to be the engineering quarters when the ship was at sea. And the gentleman who comes here every summer and does our interpretations of the engine room, his cabin used to be right up here.
Are you by invitation, reservation only?
Always recommended. Not necessarily required, but yes, recommended.
Okay.
And then look at this incredible,
This just keeps going on forever,
yes,
doesn't
yes,
it?
yes.
look at this incredible panoramic view out here.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is a fantail area right here. And some people prefer the Long Beach ocean side. Some like the top, just looking clear out to as far as the eye can see.
Well, this is unbelievable.
Is it
Oh, I
beautiful?
have eaten up here once, and I must say, the time I was here, it was absolutely outstanding.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Tell us a little about the menu, John.
Menu, continental. We have prime-aged steaks, fresh seafood. For those who want to be a little on the dangerous side, so to speak. We have rabbit, we have duck, we have venison, we have rack of lamb. Did I say rabbit already? Yes, we have rabbit.
We have two rabbits.
Two rabbits. We got two rabbits. Yes.
You
yes.
have some
Adventurous side, I should say. Yeah. So yeah, we got a pretty versatile menu. Jumbo prawns, scallops.
Excellent onion soup.
What are your hours of operation?
5:30 to 10, 7 days a week.
They also have some other private spaces here where there can be smaller group dinners and things like that. It's also a very popular spot for a wedding dinner after a small wedding.
Oh,
That's a delightful location for that.
I can imagine it would be.
Can I throw in something here?
Absolutely.
As someone who's been dining here for a great many years, I can say they have the finest chocolate souffle on the West Coast, and I've tried them all. Newport Beach, Los Angeles, to San Diego, some great places. You guys have the best souffle.
Ah, testimonial.
The martini sounded good to me.
Yeah.
Well, this is just outstanding, and I thank you for letting us come, and I'm going to have to come over here one of these evenings and have dinner. I'm assuming it's coat and tie?
Ties are optional. Jackets are requested but not required.
Okay, I'll have to get out of my Levi's for one night.
Yes, you'll have to do
something?
that.
We so appreciate your coming here to visit us for a second time. And as we were saying as we were walking through the ship, you can't see it all in one visit. Every time you come here, you discover more things you want to see.
And I have to come back
there's a lot to do here.
because I have things on my list we didn't have time to get to today.
Great.
So I'm going to have to do a third show. Maybe we can finish up then. Maybe, who knows, a fourth one.
Who knows?
Sounds good to me.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for letting us come, Bruce and Lavetta
Yes.
and John.
Pleasure.
And that's our show for this time. Come back and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.